Hey, Rick here. Okay, let's do something different. It's been a long day, it's been a long week, and a lot of you are asking me questions about some of the themes I use and some of the concepts around communication skills, effective communications, body language, authenticity, knowing your audience, all these different things. So let's do something different here. So what you're seeing here is a slide. So that's the difference in what I'm doing today, just for fun. So look at how you communicate. Oftentimes I'm asked about, so what are the major themes in your coaching, whether it's executive coaching, management coaching, life coaching, discussions about change management, whatever topic we're talking about. And remember, I don't generally talk about the process, the assessment piece, the roadmap, the steps in effective conscious leadership principles, other than the concepts around behavior. Remember, the last presentation was about the nuance, what happens in between the communication and the result, the communication and the impact, right? That nuance, that space where trust is built, we talked about. So here it's about communication sources. So those of you who have the opportunity to change how you view or how you communicate with others, in particular if your style is one of maybe you're more on the technical side of things, maybe an introvert, a shy person, somebody more reserved, right? Not the sales folks, not the operations so much, although it applies to everybody. This is an opportunity for you to pay attention. You hear me mention that a lot, right? The positive intent stuff and paying attention, authenticity, and blah, blah, blah. So in this case right here, think in terms of how you communicate because you want to be effective and you want to make an impact on your audience, right? So when it comes to your communication, and this is specific in a follow up to our capture model in terms of effective communications and achieving buy in. So when you talk about communications and communication effectiveness, it's important that you really understand that there is a wonderful, again, opportunity to be able to communicate to your audience in a way that they understand what it is you're saying. And the self awareness piece kicks in here because when you look at your communication and communication effectiveness, and everyone does it at different levels, right? And everyone, perhaps for all intents and purposes, has an awareness around it. However, I want to underscore what the components of effective communications are. The statistics vary, right? I don't necessarily agree with them, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. But this is really important for you as a communicator, as a leader, as a person driving change, as a person who is in charge, who is leading other people, driving transformation, mergers, acquisitions, or in a relationship, right? The words you use are critical to what you say because words are power, right? And remember, you always hear me say about words are air because they're symbols of symbols, right? So think about that. Here, it's 7% of what you say. So, okay, 7, 10%, depending on what statistic you're looking at and where you research the statistic. But the but here, the qualifier, the words you choose because they're power, what you're saying, the filler words, the pauses, right? How you say things in terms of the words you choose is really important. And the next piece here is your voice, the way you say it, volume, pitch, speed, right? 38% of the message, 38, 40%, your voice, your tone. And then when you look at your body language, gestures, how you look when you're saying it, this is critical. You, as a leader, executive, wherever you are in your career or relationship, your body language, which speaks to, once again, self awareness, right? Your ability to understand and be aware of how you come across when you're saying something, eye contact, expressions, proximity, right? Going back to volume and pitch and speed, your eye contact, the message, the non-verbal cues, right, is critical to your success. Now, let me qualify what I was saying earlier about statistics. 7% words, I don't know, 15, 20% in my opinion. And don't do the math yet because I'm going to throw these numbers at you based on fluctuations and not actuals. However, real life experience. I'm going to skip voice. Body language, very important. If you're like this, or if you're like this, or if like this, right? It's really important. So, without being overly dramatic, the key here is you being aware of where you are, how you're communicating, and what you're saying. So let me go back to the voice here, the tone piece. The tone piece to me, I don't know, 38, 40%. Again, wherever you're looking at, it's going to be a different percentage or statistic or metric there. To me, I don't know, I would say it's up there with 80%, 70%. Who knows? Because your tone, and this is where you come in as a leader, is really critical for people to know, believe, and approachability because your body language, your gestures, your tone tells your audience you're listening, you're trustworthy, you're approachable or not approachable. And for those of you, and thank God people are paying attention to this because when you are in a position of influence, of mentorship, of being able to communicate with credibility, your ability to understand these things and where you come across is absolutely paramount. Truly is. And where's the rub here? Where's the ultimate? Is your audience. You have to know your audience because again, your ability to assess and to be in a place where people are able to understand who you are, and where you're going, the idea behind your communication, going back to that space in between the action, the request, right? That nuance I mentioned is critical to once again your ability to have an impact on your audience's change, results, everything you talk about with regards to, or everything we talk about with regards to organizational behavior, culture, right? Authenticity, positive intent, all these things. So, again, it's the foundational piece to your communication. It is about self awareness, know your audience, right? And later on, we'll talk about the authenticity piece because there are a lot of people who oftentimes are trying to, not trying to, they're exaggerating or pretending to be something they're not. And unfortunately, it comes across and they don't know it. I hope you're not there. So think about this, the words you use, your voice, the tonal component there, and the body language. Know your audience. I hope that's helpful because this will really, really drive your impact, influence, and credibility. I'll see you next time.